Hey, Steeler fans, this is Bowser Sports, and we have the Aaron Rodgers and TJ Watt circus continuing as the Steelers navigate the nostalgia. In circus news, free agent Aaron Rodgers could be getting interest from the New Orleans Saints after their starter Derek Carr is expecting to miss all or most of the 2025 season due to a shoulder injury. If that happens, the Steelers are going to most likely have Mason Rudolph as their number one quarterback, and they'll need to spend draft capital for a backup that just went to a requirement need. Now, unless the Steelers try to acquire Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins. Art Rooney, Omar Khan, and Mike Tomlin have looked like desperate fools waiting this long for Rodgers. If he signs in New Orleans, their options are not Super Bowl contending worthy, and that's a shame with Cam Hayward on the downside of his career. And if one circus wasn't enough, how about another? As we mentioned the other day, TJ Watt and his diva-esque message with the peace out on Instagram. There's been a lot, and I think just over the top commentary since then about TJ's going to be traded. He's going to go to the Panthers for some eighth overall pick. The Steelers are not going to get an eighth overall pick for TJ Watt. No matter how good he is, players at that age, that cost, are not going for a first round pick. I could be wrong. I don't see it. I don't see the Steelers trading Watt. I do think this will be contentious negotiation just like it was last time. Um, I think he's earned the right from a historical perspective. I think T.J. Watt is a Hall of Fame type player for what he's done, but he hasn't won a playoff game and he hasn't won a Super Bowl. And I'm sorry, at some point you need to. I also don't think, based on his 24 season, that it was good enough to say, hey, pay that guy who got injured, who was not great down the stretch, and he's slowing down and always raising his hand, hey, I need a breather. Well, guess what? If you need a breather that often, that much, on crucial third down plays when the team's driving on you and you're at the 30-yard line and you got to raise your hand to come out, tap your helmet to come out because you're gassed, that's because you're playing hard, but it also means, is your conditioning great? Are you in shape? Are you injured that you can't battle through things? He's not the biggest of guys overall for his position. I don't think they should pay TJ Watt elite money for 3 years because over 3 years, because I think these next 3 years, this year and three beyond, is probably the maximum you can really think about to get a guy at that position at his age to be elite. It's just asking for a lot. So that means you're paying for past performance. And this is where general managers and owners and coaches they make the mistake of paying for past performance. Now, if these guys believe in their heart that they can get 5 really good seasons out of TJ, then rework the deal, get 5 years, this year and four, and call it a day. But I also don't think you're going to pay him elite money. You can't. You're going to eventually draft a star quarterback. That's going to cost you $50 million, if not more, the way these rates are going in the NFL. Father Time is undefeated. The Steelers need to act wisely. TJ should understand that. With his role needing having twitch, speed off the edge, it's not like Cam who can be brute force. The deal is going to get done. All this monkey business, all this craziness about trading TJ, it's not going to happen. It also highly doubtful that Myles Garrett money is worthy for what we saw from TJ in 2024. Hey, upcoming draft 2 weeks away. Exciting time for all those like myself who enjoy watching and reading and doing draft mock draft simulations and things. And Um, you know, over the last couple months, you've been paying attention, and really, even through free agency, I really don't think much has changed in terms of what the Steelers need, what the teams in front of them need. Uh, a few changes here and there, but nothing drastic. I think the teams who were looking to draft a quarterback, a running back, receiver, an offensive lineman, an edge rusher, they're going to have those. These are strong drafts for those positions. I don't think quarterback is really that. I think teams are going to overdraft the quarterback position this year. So when the Steelers get to 21 in the first round, they should have their options on the defensive line with Kenneth Grant out of Michigan, Derek Harmon from Oregon, or Mississippi's Walter Nolan. I think, when you're looking for the interior, I think that's where the Steelers will be looking. One of those three guys. Maybe there's a chance that North Carolina running back O'Marion Hampton's available. I do think there's going to be a push early at running back. I think Jante's going to get picked up by the Raiders or the Cowboys. So if the Raiders pick them, maybe the Cowboys then figure out where they're going. I mean, they can go so many different places in Dallas. They could go wide receiver, they could go running back, they could go D line, offensive line, secondary. I think the Cowboys need a lot of help. I think they're way overrated. So we'll see what happens there. Um, but hey, if Hampton's there, do the Steelers risk another running back in the first round after the failure, honestly, of Najee Harris, who really didn't live up to be an elite first round running back. I think he was your typical second, third round, 4 or 5 year running back. I think we'll see what he does in San Diego, but he doesn't have the burst or the speed. He also doesn't have the vision to run those wide zones. So really kind of curious to see how he plays out in San Diego. And then what did the Steelers do at wide receiver, right? We got this interesting dilemma with George Pickens coming up on free agency next year. Do the Steelers decide to jump on that and get the opportunity maybe to draft someone like Texas Matthew Golden? Or do they wait until the third or fourth round and hopefully to get a guy maybe like a Savion Williams or Kyle Williams? I'm not really sure. I don't think this class is that good at wide receiver. I think there's going to be guys obviously come out of this class with like no doubters. I'm really not too sure about that one. So I think the Steelers should stay away from a wide receiver in the first round. Golden's got the speed, he's got the ability to get up and go get the ball, but he's also kind of untested of really one good year at Texas. And then I think the last position here at 21 is not the position that I really want to see them go at, which is a quarterback. Again, if Aaron Rodgers decides to retire or go to the Saints or something crazy happens, he actually goes to Minnesota or some other team, the Steelers need to get another quarterback. In fact, they need two more quarterbacks. You want to go into camp with four, so they'll probably need to draft one at this point, which puts you at maybe Jackson Dart, and those of you who were thinking Shedeur Sanders, I highly doubt he gets past the ninth pick in New Orleans, especially in light of Derek Carr's situation. But if Omar Khan and team are looking at the talent and they're like, Dart's a maybe, and they're not completely sold on him being a franchise quarterback, but they're desperate for a quarterback, maybe the smarter move potentially is to drop back in the first round, try to get a mid to late second or an early third that you can use to maybe help offset the loss of most likely Pickens next year. And so if that happens, it wouldn't shock me. And then the least surprising thing I think would happen in that case is maybe someone moves up then in front of the Steelers who drop back, and they go, like the Browns, and they go up and get Dart. And then I think the Steelers then would be probably feeling pretty good because, they could still have their selections at one of those defensive linemen. Maybe they go for a wide receiver if they're dropping back. But I think if they drop back pretty far into the second round with be surprising with like the Ravens or the Eagles or the Chiefs, you know, late, uh, late with the Bills, like late pick. Alabama's Jalen Milroe is probably going to be the guy. Tomlin blew it not going after Lamar Jackson. I seen some mock drafts, that Milroe is going to go in the second. So the Steelers need to figure out if they got to have a quarterback. Are they going to go one of those early guys with Dart or Milroe and kind of basically overdraft them from a position spot perspective, um, and bypass better players who can help you now? But I think Milroe's a guy they're more than likely gonna target if they drop back in the draft. And as we know, Milroe accepted an invitation to be in the draft room. And so that tells me something, that someone's looking at Milroe. Is that the Steelers? Is that the Browns, the Giants, the Saints? Is that one of those teams that are going to look to move up into the late first round to get him? Who knows? And I do want to end on this, is like, I've seen a lot of mock drafts lately saying the Steelers are going to get like a safety, Milwaukee Starks or um, Nick Imamori out of South Carolina. I don't see that. The team has Minka already. They've got good depth already in safety. Why would you go pick a safety when you have all the bigger needs, more important needs at this stage? I think Deshaun Elliott's a pretty good safety, so him and Minka make a good tandem. So I don't understand why you would mock the Steelers for a safety. Maybe a cornerback, but I don't see Jedi Barron, or even Will Johnson dropping the whole way to 21. Though, I mean, that would be amazing if Will Johnson drops to 21 and you feel good about what you may do later in the draft at quarterback or later round, third rounds with, running back or defensive line. I think if you want to, if Barron or Johnson are sitting there at 21, uh, I think you lock it down. I know you got Darius Slay. You get those guys in, you ease them in this from a transition perspective, get that good experience working alongside a veteran like Slay, and you improve your secondary even that much more. Um, and Barron can also play slot. I think would be ideal corner to immediately compete with Beanie Bishop. And so, if Barron is there at 21, I think he's my guy overall as a top guy to go for. But I also don't think he's going to be available. I think he's going to be up there with Will Johnson as one of the top cornerbacks, especially from an elite perspective. It's kind of a down year, so I just don't think cornerbacks fall that far with how important that position is with, elite wide receivers and passing games, that, teams are going to bypass two guys like that. And so there you have it. That's where I'm at the moment. As we get closer, we'll cover this a lot more in depth with the draft, and kind of where I'm thinking with the impacts from the free agency or any news with Rodgers or anything that happens with TJ. Though I think TJ resigning is not going to do anything with the Steelers' outlook on positional draft needs or what they do. They don't need to draft an outside linebacker with Nick Herbert and Moon re-signing with the team. So with that, I bid everyone adieu. Thank you very much. Please leave us a like, drop a comment for conversations in the community, and please subscribe. It's free to do. Until next time, have a good one, everyone.